Cats and Giddies, I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 12 of the anime series Hitsugi no Chaika, for all intents and purposes the season 1 finale. Now we're pretty much picking up right where we left off, with the chips thoroughly stacked against our heroes, as essentially we see the two flying fortresses, the Sawada and the Stratus respectively, moving toward each other to unleash just holy hell on each other. The barrages of attacks, it was quite a spectacle to see this basically going on and unfolding the way it was, because it was almost entirely one-sided in the Sawada's favor, because of all of the souls that they took, essentially all the women that they've kidnapped and have harvested the memories of to fuel the weaponry and the machinery inside this flying fortress. Not only that, but also Arthur Gaz's relic, the one that they have in the command center of this entire fortress, just makes this thing almost immovable. I mean, the magic shielding is almost impenetrable, so that we see the firing going back and forth, and it's the Six Nations Stratus that's really taking a lot of the heat. And essentially with Chaika locked up in the, Blue Chaika's room, formerly Layla, I should say, it was just really cool seeing Chaika being, cordoned off from all of her friends and taking the initiative. I mean, she didn't have to be saved. In this episode, she was very much a heroine in her own right, in that she pulls out her rifle, she blows the door apart, she makes an escape, she ends up seeking out and finding the Blue Chaika as well as Ricardo Gavarni, and almost has a face-off with him. I mean, they're going to basically chop her up like he did the rest of his family, putting him in this, air quotes, command sort of framework of this flying fortress. But it's amazing to me that she actually got that far. And of course we see Toru, who at first is scaling the outside of this flying fortress. He finally manages to get inside. He's fending off attacks from all these magically created spider creatures and everything. And his goal, his bottom line, is find Chaika and save her. And he does. He ends up coming to her rescue and just cutting the hell out of Ricardo Gavarni. The vengeance he unleashed was just vengeance, in a sense, and he saves Chaika. But here's the grand thing. Chaika then returns the favor. There's a point where, as we're seeing coinciding with this, Akari has finally been brought out of her brainwashing by Gillette's two female representatives, Vivi and Zeta, and they agree for the moment to act together. They finally stumble across Frederica. Thank goodness she didn't end up dying, because as we saw at the last episode, that spider creature had stabbed her in the brain, and this was supposed to be how a dragoon can be killed, through the brain. And basically Frederica had this great aspect of creating a secondary sort of version of herself, so that she ends up molting very much like bugs and things like that in nature, and snakes, and comes out as this little pixie version, this chibi version of herself. I just laughed my ass off at that, but I thought it was brilliant, because she can still transform into a full-on dragoon and everything like that. Akari takes it upon herself to go and get that wizard. She brains him with a mace and instantly, knocks his power out. And as I say, Toru, amongst all of this, as he and Chaika are trying to leave, the Blue Chaika, who had seemingly escaped, it was almost like she was going to be running away. She actually had gone to get a weapon, and she ends up firing these arrows meant to hit Chaika, but Toru gets in the way. He's already wounded and tired from his battles with the spiders and Ricardo Gavarni, so that, essentially he falls over this ledge into the water that was building up within the place, because at this point we had seen that the Stratus's only recourse, being almost entirely destroyed, was to basically ram the Sawada to take it out. And it was just absolutely a spectacle to behold, these two flying fortresses crashing into each other over this waterbed, and basically coming down upon it, sinking down within it. And as I say, we see Chaika basically fire her weapon, because the Blue Chaika, she's about to kill our Chaika, the Chaika we've been following, but she sees what appears to be a ghostly image that I have to assume was Guy. This character we really don't know the motivations and origins of. She looks up and she's almost horrified or mystified or both. She's very incredulous. She almost can't speak. Her mouth is agape, and our Chaika ends up firing her weapon, knocking the Blue Chaika out. And then she leaps into the water after Toru, and I loved it. I was on the edge of my seat. She goes down into the water after taking a deep breath. She breathes air into him, the breath of life, the gift of life into Toru's lungs, and you see his awareness as he sort of opens his eyes, looking into hers. Something more has happened, you know. It's not just she's saving him. There's something more going on there, and this is escalated when she has activated this floating magic, which lifts them both out of the water once again, and he's like, what are you doing? And I love the point where he's like, I understand, okay, because she's insisting, you're not just a tool. You're not just somebody who needs to work for me. We're more than that. And there's almost a hint of a romantic flair going on there. Of course, it does naturally get interrupted by Akari coming to the rescue as she, Zeta, and Vivi are basically on the back of Frederica as this flying dragoon. And that's how they get out of there. And so, essentially, everyone splits ways, and we find out, which we basically saw, this horrifying scene of one of the Sawato's blasts, you know, basically firing the wrong direction, and it takes out a multitude of the ground forces because it's aimed at the ground. Among them is Gillette. Gillette, this character that, you know, just gained so much respect for me in the previous episode. I called him loyal. I called him, you know, I was afraid going 2 episodes back that we would see, in actuality, Vivi die and Gillette become, you know, poised to basically backtread on whatever understanding and reasoning he was beginning to have on Chaika and her goal. And I thought he was going to have a 180-degree turn where suddenly he was against them again. You know, essentially, I was just thoroughly shocked and did not see coming that, for all intents and purposes, I mean, we could find out he managed to barely survive somehow by getting out of the way, but all of his people, you know, they basically have assumed that he has been atomized. He's, you know, no longer in existence. When Vivi and Zeta finally come back, they're being told this by the rest of the party, and they hand over his sword, to which Vivi just screams at the sky, bloody murder. And there's almost a transformation that happens. I mean, I don't understand what was happening, but if I had to guess, it looked to me like Vivi was transforming into a Chaika. Her hair goes from being this very bright orangish red to white, and her face, you know, takes on the characteristics of a Chaika. So I'm wondering if this was perhaps a Chaika who got so carried away with pretending to be something she wasn't. She fell in love with Gillette, and she began to believe it. And now this has reawakened the monster inside her. I don't exactly know. I'm sure nothing good will come from it, but, you know, we basically see Chaika, Toru, and Akari agreeing once again to continue their journey, look for these relics. And interestingly enough, I have to say, as one last added footnote, we have Frederica, you know, basically asking Toru, would he consider creating a contract with her to become a Dragoon Cavalier? And that's an interesting proposition, being that, you know, essentially Frederica has wanted nothing more than to kill him. But I think what we're seeing is a true camaraderie, a bond between all 4 of these characters. And this is Frederica's, you know, best way of showing that she now has trust and faith in Toru, that she has seen, she has witnessed that he will stop at nothing to keep, you know, Chaika safe, to keep them all safe if possible. And it was just one hell of a finale, one hell of a way to go out. This entire first season has been so cleverly paced. The unfolding of the story, the revelations, everything, the twists and turns has been pitched perfectly. It's got to be one of, if not the top of this particular season for anime. And yeah, I cannot wait. I'm chomping at the bit for season 2 to begin in October, and hopefully I'll still be around covering episodes by then. Otherwise, though, that'll be it for me on this. I hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.